What's up, everybody? This is your man, Bill Bellamy. Welcome to the hottest podcast in the nation. This is Top Billin'. It is for the movement, the discussion, and the culture. Today, I am so excited to bring to my fans one of the most, I want to say, prolific, creative, cultural icons in the game when it comes to this music thing. Growing up on the Upper East Side of New York City, his whole life has been influenced by hip hop. From the original creators of hip hop, from that moment in the early 70s, 80s to now, he just keeps climbing, keeps winning. He has hit singles. He travels the world. He's been at the White House. He's performed for every human superstar on the planet, and he's here for us today. Can we make some noise for DJ Cassidy, everybody? Can we welcome the pimp, the player, to the game? What's up, Cassidy?
What an incredible introduction, Bill.
Bro, I gotta big you up, man.
I hope I don't let people down after that.
You will not. I know they will not be let down, man. We have been witnessing your climb, bro, and I have personally been witnessing it, and I just find it phenomenal. Like, I'm one of those guys that love to see their friends win. Like, I've never been a hater. I've never been a hater. Like, my people win, I win, because I'm like, you show me and you show others that it is possible.
Well, let me tell you something that I don't think you know. Certainly is not in my bio. Okay. Certainly not in your notes.
Right.
In the summer of 1997, correct me if I'm off, it could have been 96 or 97, I was interning for Def Jam Records.
Cool.
And guess what that summer was all about at Def Jam?
How to be a player.
How to be a player. So,
that's gangster.
All summer long, what did I do? I stuffed folders of 8x10s and CD samplers and various press kits. My entire summer. Was it 96 or 97?
It's 96 going into 97 because the movie came out in 97.
Okay.
Absolutely right.
So my entire summer was How to Be a Player.
So you basically had a Bill Bellamy summer.
I'm responsible for all the press that the movie received.
What?
All the press came through my fingers.
How did you get that job?
I made all the press kits.
No way.
I was the press kit creator, coordinator.
And back in the day,
very
you
good
had
title
to have
for an intern, press kit coordinator.
Yeah. Press kit coordinator. That means you in a room with a bunch of press kits and a bunch of paper, and you putting them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was a human Kinko's.
Yes.
So.
Absolutely.
So for a hip hop kid to be working at Def Jam Records.
How old were you at that moment?
Like 15, 16.
And you already on your grind.
And this is when Def Jam was on Varick Street. Remember Varick Street?
Absolutely.
You must have been to that office.
I was 100 times.
Okay, so, this is when Russell still worked at the office. Leor was at the office every day. Julie Greenwald was head of marketing.
Absolutely. Rhonda was there.
Oh, yeah. Rhonda Cowan, Kevin Lyles. Irv Gotti.
Yeah. The Source was right upstairs.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
So this was like an epic place to be.
Great moment in hip hop.
And that was... a special summer. And every time Russell came in with the two phones, the pager and the phone, it was just so mind-blowing to watch Russell Simmons walk into that office.
Yeah,
be him.
He was being Russell at all times. Like, I would do meetings with him. He was managing me. Like, if it went from him putting me on Def Comedy Jam, right, to actually being my manager, and I never heard anybody curse in a meeting. Like, I thought there was like regular protocol, but he was always Russell. He'd be like, yo, you got to get this nigga all the money. He deserve it. He's everything. He's the culture. He got to get the fucking money. Hello? He'd get right on the phone. Hello?
Yep.
2 phones. Hello?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, it was an incredible summer. But I just wanted to set this off by letting you know that you were an important piece.
Thank you, brother.
Of one cog in the wheel that was responsible for creating DJ Cassidy. And
you wasn't even thinking about DJing at this time.
Oh, no, at that time I've already
It's not even happening. It's just you're immersed in the music, right?
I had already been a DJ for 6 years. When I was 9 years old, I asked my parents for 2 turntables and a mixer, and for my 10th birthday, received the greatest gift of all time. So when I was interning at Def Jam, I was already DJ Cassidy.
Okay.
And a few years later, I didn't know at that time, but I would truly come into my own by the time I was 18, 19.
Nice. And here's what's really interesting about you. I feel like you've always been like in the building, right here, right there. But over the last, I want to say the last 7 to 8 years, it's like you locked in. Something happened. What do you think was the thing that just tipped it over, where now not only are you welcomed and getting the flowers that you deserve, but you're in the building for real now, like in a real way?
I think there's so many more than one incidents or one thing. I could list 20 things throughout my career that were career defining. Mm-hmm. And one thing I always say is that I'm so blessed to be able to say that I have many career defining moments.
Give me one.
Interning at Def Jam was one. Interning for Tommy and Andy Hilfiger also as a young kid was also career defining, because working at Hilfiger in the 90s was like working at a record label.
Yes, it was.
It was just
raw.
It was a revolving door of hip hop stars at all times. So if you worked for Tommy and Andy Hilfiger, you were folding polos and rugbies for Ghost and for Raekwon and for Q-Tip.
Yep.
And for Snoop and everyone who came into the office.
Absolutely. I was in that office.
And Tommy and Andy were two of the first reputable people to take me seriously as DJ Cassidy. And they would bring me out into the scene of New York to Andre Harrell white parties at Tavern on the Green.
Yeah.
Oh, and no one knew me.
Moments. Oh,
no one knew who I was or what I was doing. But I remember one summer, Andy Hilfiger and Peter Paul Scott brought me to Tavern on the Green to an Andre Harrell white party. And Kid Capri was DJing, and Andre got on the mic.
Okay.
And I was a young kid. And I'm standing in the corner watching this. And I said, one day, I'm going to rock a party like this with Andre on the mic. Oh. And years later, Andre became a very dear friend of mine. Mm-hmm. His cousin, O'Neal McKnight, is my best friend in the world. And Andre, before he passed, was a true mentor of mine and a true friend. And I remember that night with Andy and Peter Paul, just watching Kid Capri and Andre and saying to myself, it wouldn't get any better in life than being there in that slot behind the turntables.
Oh, my God.
And I went on to do that many, many times. So that was career defining. The night I met Puffy when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, that's an incredible moment you need to tell people about, when the night you met Puff.
Well, so I was 18, 19 years old. It was one summer, either 18, 19, and I was getting hot in New York City finally, and I was doing the hot spots in New York. But maybe I wasn't doing the hot nights, but the hot spots.
But you were still there?
But I was there.
You're on your way.
But I was there.
There.
I wanted the Tuesday, but I got the Wednesday.
All right.
So one night I'm DJing at a club called Lotus. You remember Lotus?
Hell yeah, I do.
Okay, so this is Lotus in the meatpacking district in New York City. This is when it was still meatpacking. There were like meat lockers. There was one club.
You could smell the meat.
You could smell the meat. There was one club. There's a KRS-One video, I'm forgetting which one, where it all takes place in front of these meat lockers, and you can see 14th Street and 13th Street, and now it's like, nightlife haven, tourist central.
Man, come on. It's so different.
So I'm at Lotus, which is the hottest new club in New York, way back when, and, it was an off night, and it was also a rainy night, and I'm downstairs, which was not the hot place to be. And I didn't know Puffy was there, but at 3 a.m, I see him walk from like the shadows of the corner to the dance floor.
Right.
And I just happened to be playing the classic soul music of the 70s and 80s, particularly late 70s, early 80s. So I don't remember exactly, but I'm playing, Luther, Shaka, Frankie Beverly, Michael Stevie, etc. And I just remember him dancing almost by himself for 2 hours. I remember the manager of Lotus coming up to me and saying, I assume you want to keep playing, because it was now like way past 4 a.m. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes. And at this time, 2000, 2001, Diddy ran the city.
Yeah.
There's no other way to explain it. Puffy was the king of New York. A Puffy party was the party.
Bananas. You had to go.
You had to go, and you probably couldn't
heard
go.
about it.
And you probably couldn't go. So
absolutely.
He starts walking out. Now it's 5 a.m. and he walks past the DJ booth. And you know, when I was 18, I looked like I was 8. And so,
because you still got a baby face.
and so he looks at me and he goes, "Where's the DJ?" So I say, "I'm the DJ." And he goes, "Who's been here all night playing all these classics?" I say, "Me." So he takes out a business card, he flips it over, gets a pen, and writes down a cell phone number, 917 something. And he says, "Call me tomorrow." So I was a freshman at NYU. So the next day I wake up, I do everything in my power to procrastinate this phone call.
Your heart is beating, bro.
So it's like when you have to it's like in school when you had to write a paper, right? First you take out the books, you lay them out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take out like all your notes, you lay it out. Then you get a drink, you put on the table. And like you do everything you can like to not sit down and start the homework, right? I was so nervous, I didn't want to call. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to one class, go to another class. I get out of a class, I finally call, and it goes straight to voicemail. So I hang up, I wait another minute, I call again. So the voice message is, "God is the greatest." Beep. And I was like, hi, this is DJ Cassidy. We met last night. It was the most inarticulate, unsavvy,
Because you
uncool.
was nervous as fuck, bro.
I was so nervous.
Absolutely.
So I thought he's never calling back. It was a moment. Maybe I'll see him again. I go to class. I get out of the next class. I'm walking to the train to go home. I live with my mom still. And I have a voice note from Cheryl Fox Spencer, who's an old friend of his and still in his life, in my life. And she says, "Hi, I'm calling for DJ Cassidy on behalf of Sean Puffy Combs. Please call him back at the office." So I'm freaking out. I don't want to do it from the street. So now I take the train home. I ran in the door. "Mom, he called back. Leave me alone." Shut the door. Okay, send her myself. Call back. She picks up, and she puts him on the phone right away. And he goes, "Playboy, how old did you say you were?"
Right.
I say, 18. And he says, "You're a white boy, right?" I say, "Yeah." He says, "How do you know how to play those records like that?"
Right. How you know those hits?
And I say, "Like what?" And he goes, "Like you lived them."
Oh, that's gangster.
And I'll always remember that. He said, "How do you play those records like that?" I said, "Like what?" And he goes, "Like you lived them." I will never forget it. It's one of the highest compliments anyone's ever paid me. And I think it really changed my life. I never knew at that point that I played anything in a special way of any kind. And he was the first to tell me that. And a week later, I was playing his party for the MTV Awards. 2001. So he had an album coming out, The Saga Continues,
Yes,
Bad
sir.
Boy for Life and all those songs. Yep. And that was like the hottest record out. It was Bad Boy for Life and H to the Izzo were the two hottest records out.
I remember
So it was
that
summer. And the two songs were the same tempo, so we all played them together.
Oh, shit, you just took me back.
And so...
Wow. I was doing the brothers.
Exactly.
I remember right well. I know when that shit came out.
Well, and that's the great thing about when we talk about songs of the moment. We all remember either the club or what we were doing, what we were filming, where we were working, what we were wearing. Anyway, long story short, I told the long version of that story, but I ended up in the hottest party of the year. And suddenly I'm DJing in a room that was like TRL had come to life at this party. It's like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, Backstreet, Eminem, Dre, Ja Rule, Nelly, and it's the hottest MTV party. And he put me on, and I couldn't believe I was there, and that certainly is a career defining.
Bro, but listen. Here's the thing that I want the people that are listening to get out of this interview, right? You have always been in the midst of your greatness. Like, it's interesting. You remind me of a kid that was always in the boxing gym until he became a fighter. Like he cleaned up the boxing gym. He put all the fighters water. He made sure all the tape was there. You were always around the game, and then all of a sudden you just emerged into it, like in a way that was so authentic. Because you're a sponge, I can tell. Because the way I've heard your parties, it's like the music that you play, it's emotional, bro.
Well,
it's emotional.
I'm happy you said that, because when people ask me about DJing and what
Yes.
makes a DJ great, and how do you choose what you play? No matter what kind of music you play, I think that my craft is all about emotion. All about emotion. It's taking people on an emotional journey. Now, sometimes when people hear the word emotion, they think of sadness. That's not at all accurate in my mind. Emotion can be sexy. It can be violent. It can be aggressive. You know, those moments like at the tunnel, the famous tunnel on Sunday night in New York City. So that was...
Or like when you say violent, I just think of M.O.P.
Right.
Eddie up.
Right. So I never went to the tunnel on a Sunday night, right? It was just on the cusp. I was too young, but I followed it, obviously, right, as a New Yorker.
Made it to the tunnel?
I was never there on a Sunday, but... But records like DMX, Get At Me Dog, at the tunnel, right?
Yes.
And that's aggressive, but that's emotion.
Yeah.
And so what music does on a dance floor is create emotion. And I've always loved music that creates emotion. Any kind of emotion.
Now, I have a pet peeve with DJs, right? Some of these new DJs, when they're spinning and doing whatever they do, they'll get you in the vibe and cut the song off in a minute and 12 seconds, and you don't even get a chance. You're already feeling it, and they cut and they cut and they cut. What I like about you is you continue the feeling. Like you don't make people just leave after this song. Oh, that's my song, and then you go to another song and kill the vibe. You extend that emotion, which is beautiful.
Well, first of all, thank you.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah, I think of course. Yeah. I think anything I do when I'm DJing is on purpose at this point.
Okay.
And I also think that when you feel a song is being cut off, I don't think that you dislike the length of a song that was played. I think you dislike what was played after. Because if that emotion was carried through, you wouldn't care if someone played a chorus of a song and then dropped another song.
Yeah, but they don't know that shit, you know.
Chorus.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you are who you are, because you know the emotion. If the emotion was a sexy emotion and all the stuff that you played was sexy, it don't matter that way. What I'm talking about is DJs that'll be playing a sexy song and then cut to like something that you just go, Right. I hate when I'm listening to something. I'm like, man,
right.
It's
all about a journey. The emotion of music is like the tempo of music, right? As a DJ, you can't play something that's 90 beats per minute and then play something that's 110 beats per minute. You have to gradually ascend to that tempo.
Absolutely.
So in a given 2 hours, a DJ like myself or anyone can take you on a journey of emotion, but you have to gradually bring people from one emotion to the next. Now, if someone were to ask me, well, what's your emotion of choice? If you could only...
What's your favorite?
if you had to commit to one emotion for any given 2 hours, I would say the emotion of celebration. If I had to define what I do in one sentence, which I would never want to do because I think that what I do is multi-dimensional. But if I was forced gun to my head, I would say that my sound is the sound of celebration. And all genres of music create songs of celebration.
Absolutely. And of life and living it to the fullest.
Exactly. R&B certainly does. I don't need to explain that. But hip hop does, and electronic music does, and rock music does. I think when people come together to party and to dance, there's nothing like the sound of celebration. And just to bring this back to the story that I told a few minutes ago, I've analyzed that night with Puffy for many, many years. And, only he could tell you what he saw in me and why he hired me a week later for the biggest party of the year and why I continue to play his party.
Absolutely.
Just to put this in perspective, that year that I met him, I DJ'd his 32nd birthday weekend in Miami, but I also DJ'd his 50th birthday 2 years ago. So that's how long it's been.
Absolutely.
But when
That's
I think
awesome.
about that night that I met him, I think about what could he possibly have been so drawn to. And something about the sound of celebration drew him to me that night because that's what I was playing. And, you know, I would have defined myself at that moment as a hip hop DJ. But it was that music, the soul music, the R&B music, the funk music, the disco music of that era, the 70s and 80s, that drew him to me. And that from that point on drew a lot of people that I looked up to me.
Right.
And just by the natural course of nature, in many circles, that sound became my signature sound.
Absolutely. And also, I think what, if knowing Puff now probably 30 years, I would think one of the things that attracted him to you was that you have an ear, and so does he. He has an ear for music, you know. Look at his career. Look how many artists he has made stars, how many produced records he has been on, you know, whether he was a sample, whether it was a remix, Puff was in the mix with it. And so probably like just listening to you tell that story, when he's listening, he's probably like, yo, whoever's playing this knows some shit. And you remind me of a story I heard about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was like 8 years old. Smokey Robinson told me this story. And he wrote this song, Who's Loving You, for Stevie Wonder to sing. Because Stevie was older, this, that, and the other. Mike was 8 years old. So somebody came in there and said, you know what? How about you let Michael Jackson try to sing? They were like, he can't sing that song. He's 8 years old. He don't know nothing about that emotion. That's a heartbreak. That's this, that, and the other. It's impossible. 8 years old.
That's Who's Loving You.
Who's Loving You was sung by Michael Jackson from an 8-year-old with the passion, with the energy and the emotion of heartbreak. Never experienced it before. That's what you remind me of right now when I listen to you. You've already lived it. Like it's like when you're gifted, there ain't no space for, ain't no, like, there's no constriction on the gift.
Well, I learned everything that I do from the greats. I studied them, and once I was old enough or had the access to hear them in person, I seized every moment. Everything I do is a combination of 10 or so people. I don't claim to have invented anything. I'm me, and I put everything that inspired me together in a blender.
Right.
But
and make the sauce.
but those ingredients are who I am. You know, I'm a product of I'm gonna try to say in chronological order. I'm a product of DJ Hollywood, Grandmaster Flash, Africa Bambaataa, Kool Herc, Lovebug Starsky, Kid Capri, SNS, Dougie Fresh, Andre Harrell, and Puff Daddy. Those 10 or so people, and MC Frank Jigga, who was an MC in New York City who played all the hip hop parties and who I did a lot of parties with, and he passed away a couple years ago. But without DJ Hollywood, I'm gonna say him again, without DJ Hollywood, Lovebug Starsky, Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Kid Capri, SNS, Funkmaster Flex, Dougie Fresh, Andre Harrell, and Puff Daddy, I don't know how to rock turntables or a microphone.
Bro, that's all you needed right there, because all those guys you mentioned are iconic people, and they're game changer people to me. You know, all those guys that influenced your career, they put an imprint on you. And so, you know, just me as a comedian, you know, the same thing, you know, guys like, you know, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Bill Cosby. I could go up.
Rodney Dangerfield, Jackie Mason.
George Carlin.
So George
Carlin. So just think about this. It's the same. I got the same type of thing that you've had, influences that like are there. Like if you put me together, they're in me. You know, from Red Fox to Richard Pryor to Eddie Murphy, George Carlin, Robin Williams. You know what I mean? These are guys that I admired. Like I didn't even know I was going to become a comic, but I knew all these guys were so fucking funny, and I was like, if I could just get a sprinkle of that, and that's what you just. relate to me. I feel the energy of that. And what a way to give them their flowers, right? Because you are very nostalgic. You know what I mean? Your music, like you said, it makes people feel an emotion, whether it's celebration, whether it's fun, whether it's party, but more importantly, you make people feel good.
Well, thank you. That's the goal.
You got my ass through the pandemic because I was like, shit, when the next Pass the Mic? God damn it, do every day.
Well, it's funny because when I got a call from Dougie Fresh at some point in the Pass the Mic,
okay,
2-year run, which we're still in. And, Dougie and I are close friends, and that's a very surreal thing for me to say because I looked up to Dougie Fresh long before he knew who I was. Long before.
Right. Didn't even know you would become cool.
Didn't know. No, I didn't know I'd become cool, and he didn't know I existed. But Dougie is, a legitimate friend of mine. I truly love
Great
Doug.
guy.
Greatest.
He's one of the nicest people in the world, bro.
And even though his first record, The Show and La Di Da Di, came out in '85, Dougie was in it from the very beginning.
Facts.
And was like the mayor of Harlem and in the center of it all. And his career is inspiring in and of itself. How many decades he spans and continues to really be at the center of celebration. And Dougie called me after one of the episodes and said, I can hear everyone who inspired you. And it's a beautiful thing because Dougie lived, all those people I mentioned, he lived it.
Right there.
And
that's
so
what I'm saying. It's dope, man.
He said to me, I see every little thing, where it came from and how you made it your own. And it was another beautiful compliment that I'll always remember. And I'm very clear with Doug. I say, Doug, my passion for bringing musical artists,
correct,
whom I admire, together in a unique way is all him. It's all Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh is the original aggregator. You go to a Dougie Fresh show and it's one surprise guest after another. And that's all Pass the Mic is in a new way, a new format.
Facts.
But in reality, it's so Dougie Fresh.
But it's so, it's such a, what I always liked about Pass the Mic that I'm glad I get a chance to say this to you is that it's almost like making the music come to life visually. Like we know the songs, but you make them come to life visually when the artists sing them. It's just like so live. Like it just takes it to a level like, oh shit. It make you go, oh shit.
I once saw in the beginning of Pass the Mic.
Right.
So we'll take it back to the beginning, but before I tell you how it all came to be, I remember it was episode 2 or 3. Before was a television series on BET. So the first 3 were the homegrown episodes. It was me and an editor. And you either left a comment or posted on your story or both.
Oh, yeah, I did. I had to. It was crazy.
And, we knew each other. We'd say hello at a party, but not like that. And when I saw you comment and post, I said, oh, this is actually something. Like there's people in the hip hop community that I don't really know, like on a texting phone call basis, that are commenting and posting it. And that really, really took the way I looked at it to a different level.
That's good.
I knew the artists on the show, right? They were either my friends or people whom I knew, so I was able to get them on the phone. But when people you look up to in the culture are commenting and reposting, then you go, wait a minute.
I'm on to something.
Yeah, this is actually
because you were posting and I started and then we start dialoguing back and forth and every time I always support you. I'm like, yo, Cassidy about to kill it again. He about to kill it again. You know what I'm saying? But that first initial one, I was like, yo, what the fuck is he doing? This shit is live as fuck. Like that was my initial feeling. And I put my little fire sign.
I saw.
Absolutely.
And it was comments like that really kicked me in the ass and said, yo, you have to do a volume 2.
Yeah.
And then a volume 3. And I could have never imagined that I'd be here 2+ years later talking about a 10th and final episode. 230 legendary artists have been on the show. And only 10 episodes. There haven't been dozens of Pass the Mic episodes.
Hey,
there
bro,
have
listen.
only been 9, and the 10th is yet to air. So 230 people on 10 episodes is a mind-boggling number for me to even think about.
But what's so prolific about it to me is the life that you've given certain artists that people might not have been able to match the face with the music. They just know the songs.
Well, the beautiful thing about Pass the Mic, in my opinion, one of the beautiful things is that it put every artist on an equal playing field.
It's not competition. It's only love.
So whether you sell out arenas or sold 10 million records or had one song we know or decades of albums, everyone's important to the history of music and the culture of hip-hop and R&B, and everyone contributed in their own special way. So for me, it started with the song.
Okay.
So no matter who you were on Pass the Mic for one verse and one chorus.
Right. But the thing about it is now after I've had this interview with you and I'm really understanding it from a more intrinsic way, is that you were able to do your connection through the emotion. So when you did Pass the Mic, every time you gave us an energy, and that energy just carried through. That's what made it so live for me. I'm saying, oh shit, like, oh shit. Oh shit! Like, I'm like, what made him do that? Like, I have, because I'm like an artist, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, what made Cassidy go there and get him and get her? And,
well, I put the shows together like a DJ set.
Yeah.
So first I came up with a theme or an era.
Okay.
And then I put together my dream DJ set. And I said, if I was manning the turntables at the greatest party ever, and I could choose what artists were going to walk through the front door, and I could pass them the mic from the DJ booth, who would it be? And I'd put together my dream set. And one at a time, I reached out to the artists, and I just kept hearing yes, 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 yes. And I just, even when making this last episode that's about to air, that feeling never got old. That feeling never got stale. It continued to be surreal when a hero of mine would pick up the phone and say yes. And those first 3 episodes, were not on television. They were homegrown webcam episodes that I simply premiered on YouTube, and they lived on YouTube.
It's like you were shooting a pilot.
Right. And there were 3 pilots. And, to think that Earth, Wind, and Fire set off like pilot 1, and Run DMC set off pilot 2, and Keith Sweat set off pilot 3.
Oh my God.
I will never take that for granted. After Volume 2 was my hip hop edition, and let's see how many artists I can name in order. It went from Run to DMC to LL to Chuck D to Dougie Fresh to Rakim to MC Shan to Audio 2, Top Billin', MC Light, MC Search, Eric Sermon, Black Sheep, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, Fushnikins, Chubb Rock, Emmett, Young MC, Salt and Pepper, Arrested Development, Naughty by Nature. I probably left out a few, all on one show. And when the show ended, 2 things happened that I will never, ever forget. The first person to call my phone when that episode ended, its live premiere, was Run.
No way.
And I'm still in it. Like, I think my webcam is still on, because after I hit play on the live show, on the show,
Correct.
I then go back to me live. And I'm like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for watching. And like, I'm still in the feed.
Right.
And it's Run. And I literally pick up, I go off camera, and I go, my hero. And he goes, I'm so proud of you. And I started crying. It's one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yo, man, you got to understand, man. How do I say this? It's a blessing to have someone who is as authentic as you, and you love the culture. it's not about color, it's about vibe, it's about feeling, right? You are a child of the culture of hip hop. Everything that it gave you, sprinkled on you, is in you, and you are authentic. That's why you went. It's not like somebody came, put this outfit on you, put those fly glasses on you, and told you was Cassidy. No, you are Cassidy from when you was a shorty till now. You found your gift and shared it with us. That's really what it is. It's like once you discovered your gift, you shared it with us. You shared, it was like you gave back to the culture, or you're giving back to the culture all that is given to you. That's what I feel.
Well, thank you. That's really, honestly, that's all I ever wanted to do was contribute in some way.
Oh my God!
And when I asked my parents for turntables,
did they know what little C was about to do?
Nah, no one knew.
You just thought you was in the rooms.
Yeah, and back then, this is before DJs took over the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been about a 20-year. It's been I want to say in the last 15 years, something for DJs changed. It's just like with chefs.
Yeah, many things changed.
Many things changed how we perceive the DJ and how big they are. I know in my phone right now, I got 10 of the biggest DJs, just that I know, like that, like I can text and say, yo, you in Vegas, y'all everywhere. Like ain't no more just at the Tunnel or at Nails. No, y'all everywhere. You're gonna be in Milan, and then you're gonna go from the Mykonos, and then you guys are international. You stay stamped up with your passport.
And I'm leaving for Milan in about 8 hours, so it's funny you should say Milan. But
that's how it is. That's so dope. It's worldwide now. On every level.
I had a show in the Bahamas New Year's Eve about 6 years ago. And Grandmaster Flash's birthday is January 1st. Maybe it's December 31st. It's one or the other, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And for some reason, Flash was in the Bahamas. And I was hanging out with him on December 30th, the night before my gig. Now, first of all, I don't say that lightly, so let's just talk about that for a second.
Just happened to happen.
I'm hanging out with Grandmaster Flash.
Your idol.
There is no DJ or member of the hip hop community that should not, that should not have an out of body experience.
Yeah. You
hanging out with Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah.
Aside from so many things that Flash did to create not only what we do as DJs, but hip-hop culture that has taken over planet Earth.
Facts.
He kind of invented the art of scratching and cueing records on a mixer, like almost invented the technology, like took apart machines to invent it. And the part of using the scratch to cue a record and wiring a mixer so you could hear one side while playing another. So here's the story. I'm having dinner with Flash in town. It's like a touristy section of the Bahamas. And we're walking down the street after dinner, and there's a restaurant with all glass windows. And in the window is a DJ, and his back is facing the street. And he's facing...
the people.
Yeah, the people. And he's playing hip-hop. And he has 2 turntables and a mixer. And me and Flash walk right by, and then I stop. And I look back, and I said, Flash, wait. Come back here 1 second. I said, do you see this? He goes, yeah, what? I said, do you think this guy knows that the man who invented everything he's doing is standing right behind him?
That's like seeing Steve Jobs and you got an iPhone 9000.
It's like walking past the Apple store with Steve Jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone's shopping for a new phone or laptop and no one's noticing him.
Right.
And you say, Steve, do you think anyone knows that the man who put this device in everyone's hands around the world standing right here? And Flash is so humble and so nice and so not that guy.
Right.
He didn't even really know what to say. If he thinks about himself in that way, he doesn't express it.
Right.
At least
he's
to
a very
me.
humble guy.
And that's such a beautiful thing. My only dream, people say to me, oh, could you ever have, I never dreamt about being the first DJ to ever DJ in the White House. I never dreamt about being the first DJ to ever play a presidential inauguration.
I know.
I never dreamt about having, a TV show and starring in a TV show as a DJ. But what I did dream about as a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old was I wanted my favorite rappers to know my name.
Yeah.
For me, if Tretch knew my name,
you was happy as fuck.
I could die a happy kid.
Hey man, if Tretch knew my name, we were both from Jersey, and I remember seeing Tretch like before Naughty got big, right? So it's kind of like they're
like
doing
pre-OPP or during OPP?
We're talking pre-OPP. This is true story. They're like doing little gigs. They're popping around. Like
they actually had another group name before Naughty by Nature, the New Style. So this might have even been during.
So they
the
was
New
New
Style.
They were New Style. So cut to, I'm doing comedy in Jersey. They Jersey, Illtown. You know, we doing our thing. And you know, Tretch. Hopefully one day I will be able to fill this story with him when he's here. So we kind of coming up together. Like, yo, you getting on? Yeah, man, we doing our thing. Van Rock, you know, KG, we doing our thing. I get on MTV. Oh my God! Here come Naughty by motherfucking Nature. I said, oh, every time I'm saying something about this video. This one's from the heart because I remember the New Style, boom, 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 Tretch coming up with the chainsaw stuff way before chainsaws was really something to do, and the big chain.
The big chain.
I'm talking about. It wasn't even a chain. It was like something you.
It was a lock.
Like a lock you put on a bank.
Lock.
But he was walking with that on his chest, and with a big master lock on it or something crazy. When Naughty by Nature made it to MTV, I felt like you felt like that we're in the same thing together. We have made it, or we are making it as one. It was the best feeling in the world.
I can imagine. What year did you start on MTV?
I started in 91.
You started in 91. So what show was it then?
It was Fade to Back initially, and Todd One was hosting.
Right.
But he was leaving. And so right as I was coming in, Al B. Sure hosted. They tried Al B. Sure for a few seconds. We always laugh about this because Al B. Sure used to always have the chain over his hand like this, and he was always, how y'all doing? This is Fade to Black with Al B. You know, with the deep voice.
Very smooth.
Very smooth. But I came in with all this, like I was like Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
So I came with all this fun, energy, crazy, and it took off. And then they switched it to MTV Jams.
Right.
So now I am representing all of the hip hop plus R&B. So I had a bigger pot. So I'm getting Naughty, I'm getting TLC,
right.
I'm getting Boyz II Men. So that's how I blew up. And these are all my friends.
So let me give you your flowers for a second because we
What's up?
talked about mine. Well, it's important for me to say, because I'm sitting here talking about a lot of my heroes, right?
Correct.
As a young kid watching MTV, there were very few people who were at the epicenter of the culture who I watched as like the messenger of the culture.
Oh, wow.
And it was Ed Lover, Dr. Dre,
Absolutely.
and you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I grew up watching you bring us those videos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said to you earlier, when I got a call to do this,
You had to do it.
the answer is yes. I don't need to know podcast stats.
You don't need nothing.
I'm not a big podcast guy. I'm not a big TV guy. I don't watch and listen to much.
Right,
All
right.
I had to hear was Bill Bellamy.
Oh, man.
Because for me,
thank you so much. I feel
to
so
speak
nice.
to someone
Yes.
who was so important to the culture, and for that person to invite me on their show is a big deal.
Yes.
And, you know, your job at MTV and Ed and Dre was so important because people forget that in the early 90s, you didn't have access to hip hop everywhere like you did now. You had more than you did in the 80s, and it was growing every day like this.
Yeah.
But you didn't have access to hip hop music, visuals, fashion, dialect, swagger, flavor.
The clothes.
The vocabulary.
Yeah. You were like the vernacular of hip hop, or certain words. Like MTV was literally like the Google of hip hop, like where you searched and you found out what was popping. And Ed, Dr. Dre and myself, we were the ambassadors of the culture at that time. And we didn't realize how impactful we were because, like you said, there wasn't many places to get the information.
No. The hosts of Yo MTV Raps, MTV Jams, Rap City, and Video Music Box
Period.
all deserve to be on the highest of pedestal because you all brought hip hop and R&B, which was becoming more and more of a product of hip hop at that time. You guys brought hip hop to households on a daily basis.
Facts.
So whether you were living hip hop or just experiencing it for the first time, it was so valuable.
Yeah, man.
And so all these artists that I grew to idolize, that years later on my show Pass the Mic, I'm seeing for the first time.
How beautiful.
Through these videos. So I just wanted you to know that just being here, sitting in front of this name,
oh man,
is a very, very important thing.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we've mentioned some important names, and I want to mention one we did in Fab Five Freddy.
Yes, Fab Five Freddy. That would never happen again. Fab Five Freddy, yes.
Now, Fab Five Freddy, well,
he was my mentor when I came in.
The truth is, though, is he holds so much weight and so much significance in hip hop that the first thing you think of might not even be Yo MTV Raps because there's such a list of important things he's brought to the culture. I mean, when you think about Fab Five Freddy, right? This man was literally.
I always thought he was the coolest dude.
The coolest.
I mean, he just
probably the coolest guy of hip hop culture ever.
I don't even understand why he was so cool. It's just he oozed cool. Like the glasses,
cool.
I mean, his hat, his jacket, like he just looked like a cool ass teddy bear.
And what's the coolest to me about Freddie? And he and I have become friends over the past few years, which is so such a surreal thing as well. He literally in his early 20s was the bridge between a new art form called hip hop that was forming in the South Bronx and the art punk downtown New York City scene. He was literally bringing people from uptown, downtown, and downtown, uptown. He literally brought Debbie Harry of Blondie to the South Bronx to meet Grandmaster Flash. He literally connected
oh my God, bro.
people of the art scene, Basquiat, with graffiti artists from the Bronx. And he had this, it's almost magical to me. I say to him sometimes, I did an interview once with him where we spoke to each other and asked each other questions. And I'm like, do you even feel that like magic that I feel when I hear these stories? Or did you live it to an extent where it's just so real that you can't take yourself out of it to see,
feel the magic of it.
Right. Like we've all grown up hearing these stories, watching Wild Style, right? So it feels like some fantasy of it. No, it was very real. And they were kids that were 20, 21, 22, 23.
Absolutely.
And there was something very special going on in the South Bronx. And Fab Five Freddy, who was engulfed in downtown New York City scene, which was punk rock and disco and gay and straight and black and white and art and music. And he said, well, these people would like each other. They would understand each other creatively.
Right.
And he brought people uptown and downtown and toured them around and introduced them to each other. Like, what? Like this happened.
What made you even think of that?
Like everything we do.
Right now.
Or, I should speak for myself. Everything I do is a product of that.
Absolutely.
Everything I do.
Bringing, it's like, so your vibe now you're making me see it in 3D another way. It's like bringing all the best pieces of art to one exhibit.
So beautifully said. So beautifully said. And that dates back way before Pass the Mic. That's my early days of DJing in New York.
Yeah.
Right. What was I doing and what were other DJs in my world doing, right? We were kind of playing hip hop music, the realest hip hop music for a downtown New York City scene. And Puffy and Jay-Z were very much at the intersection of that scene after Fab Five Freddy, like a decade and a half, 2 decades later. In the same way Fab Five Freddy and Russell Simmons connected uptown and downtown
Absolutely.
and hip-hop and Soho.
Wow, bro. This is a great interview.
15 plus years later, you have Puffy and Jay-Z doing that again, like times 2 on some global billionaire level.
Yeah, like billies.
And so I was a part of that too. And so, I've just always been fascinated with everything that inspired me. So, as I said earlier, my only dream was for Tretch to know my name, for Run and DMC to know my name,
and you
for
achieved
Q-Tip
that,
to know
bro.
my name. I did achieve that dream, and it's probably the greatest gift that my career has given me. I've been able to travel the world. That's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to make a living doing something I've loved. I've never had a job interview. I've never worked a day in my life. But for the people who I admire, especially those that I've admired since I'm a child,
Wow.
to be a part of my life in some way is the greatest gift that I could ever receive.
It's the universe. It's the universe giving back to you all that it's kind of like, wow. It's kind of like, not to be corny, but it's kind of like being a seed that hip hop gave fertilizer to. You were a seed that hip hop just gave you water, gave you sunlight, and you start blooming, and now you become this really amazing tree that stands out in the beautiful valley. And now what's cool is all that it's given to you, you've given back. So you give oxygen to the game. You give life to the music. You give life to the artist. Like, it's dope, man. I think there's so much more for you to do because the intention is right. So I think there's no ceilings on it. You feel me? And you going to Milan, going to Vegas, going to these different places and playing for all these amazing people. I have a question, and on this show, we always do this thing called All Facts. This is where you have to tell the truth. You can't lie.
Okay.
You gotta tell the truth.
Uh-oh.
All Facts, top billing, DJ Cassidy in the building. If you could do your dream show of all time, don't matter past, present, or future, who would be your artist? Give me your top 5.
My dream past the mic show or my dream live show?
We're going to do both.
I need more specifics.
Okay. Your dream past the mic show, past, future, present. You can go decades, you can do whatever you want, but I'm gonna give you 10 artists then, because 5 might not be enough for you. I know you sitting on 40.
All right. Artists who have not taken part in Pass the Mic. Who have not taken part in Pass the Mic. My dream show of artists who have not yet been a part of Pass the Mic in no particular order.
Let's go.
Okay. Stevie Wonder. Lionel Richie.
Boom.
Diana Ross.
Woo!
Smokey Robinson. The Jacksons.
All of them.
Marlon,
Randy, Tito, Jermaine,
all of them.
Jackie, Maka.
All of them.
Reby? No. Janet? No.
Slick Rick.
Oh.
KRS-One.
Oh, my God.
And The Weeknd, Bruno Mars, and Beyonce.
Okay, you showing out now. Okay, cool. I asked you a little bit. You give me a lot. Okay, now let's go live on them.
Well, live could be could be the same list.
No, it could be different.
Live is a more complicated answer. So everyone who's been on the television show,
correct,
Pass the Mic, I would love to bring to the live stage to do it with live. And bringing Pass the Mic live to the stage.
I'm gonna set it up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Pass the Mic live is in Las Vegas. Star-studded night. DJ Cassidy presents the all-time greatest live performances ever. It's 3 people. If you don't say they motherfucking name, we're going to be on the floor. I know that you got to say these 3. All time.
So, Bill.
Give me 10. 3 of them got
Ladies
to come
and
out.
Gentlemen.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
The reason I am not going to answer Bill's question is because it's actually happening. So maybe I'll come back.
Okay.
To top billing with Bill Bellamy.
Okay.
On Breakbeat at some point.
And we talk about
talk about Pass the Mic live and where I'm taking.
Can I get tickets?
Past the mic.
Will I be able to get tickets? Is that okay? Because
I think tickets is beneath you. I think you need to be standing on the side of the stage
right
on the
there.
soundboard.
Yeah, boom.
Tickets little too civilian.
It's just civilian for me right now. I'm legendary. Okay.
But that's all I'm gonna say about that. But it was always my dream.
Yes.
To take it to the stage, and I'm doing that. So let's table that dream for when I can come back and talk about it more.
Part 2. This is going to be.
This is part 1. So we've just announced that there's going to be a part 2.
DJ Cassidy,
for sure.
I want to ask you. You are definitely centered, bro. You are definitely riding your wave. You are definitely well received, and people love you for what you are doing for the culture and continue success on that matter. That is really great that you came by and you gave us an education on your rise and your history and your commitment to the culture. I wish you nothing but continued success. I'm definitely coming. You got me. I'm locked in.
You will be there.
Hey,
and I'll be back here to talk about it.
How do people stay connected with you on your social?
Instagram is my social of choice, so everything's on Instagram. And I will say, I'm not sure when exactly we're gonna bring this to the world, but October 4th,
holla,
at 10 p.m. Eastern, directly after the BET Hip Hop Awards on BET.
Let's go.
I am premiering the 10th and final edition of DJ Cassidy's Pass the Mic.
Oh, shit.
And if you are a fan
you better lock in.
numbers 1 through 9, you better lock in.
Let's lock in. Hey, Cassidy, thank you so much, man. God bless.
You.
This is how we do it on Top Billin'. Each and every episode takes you on a journey. Each and every episode, we hope, inspires you and make you feel good about your personal journey. My name is Bill Bellamy, and I holla on the next one, the Top Billin'. Peace.
Peace.
Oh, man. Thank you
for having me.
Top Billin', baby.
Honored to be here.
Let's get it.
Bill is chillin'. What more can I say? Top Billin'.